Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Sky Blue Fan TV. My name's Mark Smith. Tonight, we'll be talking about the fantastic 2-0 win at Stoke City, and we'll be previewing Tuesday night's home match against Rotherham United. Our podcast is sponsored by our friends at the Sky Blue Tavern, Dylan's Brewery, Ivy Lucy Designs, CCFC Prints, CCFC Fan Store. And I think it's A Hawks is our new sponsor, A Hawks Photography, and Mr. View Sky last but not least. Tonight I'll be hoping to have a Rotherham fan on. I think it's Will who'll be joining us fairly shortly. In the meantime, I'm going to bring on Glenn, who's obviously with us, and Reese. How are we doing, guys?
Yeah, all good, Mark. Very good.
Yeah. So I think we'll start the show. We're just because the Rotherham fans have been patiently waiting to join, and they'll be coming on very shortly. We'll talk about the Rotherham game, and then we'll go back to the Stoke game of yesterday. Going to the Rotherham game, Reese. How I mean, obviously the back of 3 wins and clean sheets, 3 clean sheets as well. We're going to this game with a lot of confidence. It's a game we shouldn't fear, and we should be looking to win.
Yeah, I think so, Mark. I think it'll be a different game to the last 3, though. I think Stoke came at us first half. Cardiff game, as well as Sheffield United. I think there's 3 teams there that came to win. And I've got a feeling that Rotherham are going to sit back and it's going to be a lot of possession. And I think we're going to struggle to break them down. I still think we'll nick it, but I think this will be a different style of game than what we're probably expecting, especially after the wins on the bounce. It's going to be tough to break them down, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the league table, I mean, from a Rotherham point of view, they're mid-table. I mean, I think at the start of the season, you probably wouldn't expect that. I mean, how much have they surprised you from that point of view?
Yeah, I think they look like they've definitely improved on the season because they're a bit of an up-down team. But you know, they look like they've got a couple of good strikers now. I was surprised that I think one of their lads went to Sheffield Wednesday to start the season. That sort of surprised me. But then they've got Connor Washington. He scored some goals in League One last year. So yeah, I think they're a side that I would imagine that they're looking like that the teams are coming to play and that are going to walk over them, and they've obviously surprised a lot of teams so far. So they're probably a team not to be underestimated, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we spoke to Harrison, the Stoke fan, on our previous pod, he was saying about the fact that, you know, they came to Stoke, they nicked to 1-0, but really they had to withstand a lot of pressure. So to me, they're a team that I think are going to be quite, as you say, quite a hard side to break down. And I think it's like every game. It's just a case of can we get the first goal and then we can start to dictate the terms of the game. I don't see anything different. In terms of changes for this side, obviously Ben Sheaf comes back from suspension. Obviously, would you bring him back? And if so, who would drop out?
Yeah, well, I think with the games come up thick and fast, they say not, changing a winning side, but I think rotation is key. I would say I would give Eccles a rest. That's he's played very well on them games, and I think if he drops out and Sheaf plays, and then I'll bring Eccles back in for Saturday just to keep it fresh, because Saturday, the last 3 games, they haven't been easy games. They've been hard games, and the defence and midfield have done a lot of work. So I would keep an eye on that. But I think Sheaf dropping out on Saturday will keep him relatively fresh for Tuesday night. So I would bring him back in for Eccles.
Yeah, I think I'd probably do the same. I mean, I guess the only other point of contention is, I guess it's probably a bit too soon to bring Callum O'Hare back into starting 11. Do you think it's just a case of keeping on the bench and then just bringing him on just to ease him in? Would that be the approach you'd expect Mark Robins to take?
I think so. I wouldn't want to risk him, especially with the muscle injury he's had. We have to be careful of it. I think I was worried when he come on against Stoke, but also obviously it's great to have him back. The fans responded really well. Nearly scored as well. It's just nice to see him back out there, and I just hope that they're looking after him and not rushing him back. I think he would be, depending on how the game goes, I think bringing him on second half, maybe for 20 minutes, 15 minutes, just to get, he's not going to be firing all cylinders straight away, but he can clearly offer us a lot even when he's coming back. So I would personally play Palmer and see how the game works out, and then bring him on later on.
Yeah, I think the great thing is that we're winning games of football without having all our best sort of players available to us, and I think that's what's really encouraging to see at the moment. For me, I would put down these results recently, leading up to this game on Tuesday. Do you feel the extra man in midfield is kind of one of the reasons why? Obviously, defensively, we've been fantastic. We've been putting in blocks. Carl Mafassing's been a complete rock as well at the back. I think all three of our defenders have been fantastic. But what would you put it down to, the fact that we're getting these sort of clean sheets and results? Is it just better organisation, tactics right? What's changed for you?
I think we're being more disciplined in midfield. I think we're not leaving many spaces in and around. I think testament to the midfield. I think Alan's been is the engine. He does a lot of the running. You got Ben Sheaf, Eccles, and now Hamer come in. I thought Hamer had a good game coming back into the side. Obviously, we'll talk about that later. But I think we've got a good balance in there. And with Eccles coming in the last few games as well, he's definitely stepped up to the plate, because I think this season is massive for Eccles. And so far, he's come in and he's been disciplined. He's getting stuck in. He's got a good pass on him. So I think, that's got a lot to do with it. I think the wing backs need to mention again, because they've been very disciplined. I think Dabo, especially, the players he's played against have, they're no walkovers. And I think he's stood up to them really well. And like you say, Panzo, Rose has come in and done a great job. I think he's been really good, considering he's coming for a bit of stick. But he brings out the ball well. He's got a nice eye for a pass as well. And what else can we say about McFadden? He's unbelievable. Not only at his age is he playing every single game, he's playing fantastic. Every ball that's coming into the box, it's McFadden's there to clear it. I think there was one game that we had, there was something ridiculous, like 30 crosses in one game, and he managed to, he was key to that as well. The organisation, I think, it's the senior players that are helping as well. And with Wilson coming in, he hasn't put a foot wrong. I think the only critic you can have is that his distribution with some of his goal kicks puts us under pressure a little bit. But that's me really nitpicking. I think Wilson, looking at the games, you can't really say that Wilson's had many saves to make. I know Stoke hit the bar, but when you look back at the games that we haven't conceded, there hasn't been many saves that Wilson's had to make, really, that you would call good saves. So that's testament to the players in front of him.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think we'll go back to the Stoke game yesterday, actually, just to bring it up. I think from what I saw the game, I would say that first half I thought Stoke were the better side. They didn't have, obviously, with Jagielka hitting the bar in the first half. It just felt to me like we couldn't really get a grip in the game. We were playing quite direct, playing like long ball, and it wasn't really sticking up front. And then we were losing possession quite easily, and then we were under pressure. I thought what we did do well is we did keep a decent shape defensively. But I thought second half was a difference. Once you got the first goal, we had that control in the game yesterday. And I thought second half we looked a much better side. I just thought the goals we scored, it was first of all, it was great to see Jamie Allen get a goal, because Jamie Allen really has had his critics probably fairly, in the sense that he doesn't really contribute enough goals. It was good to see him scoring goals. I thought Gus Hamer was superb, certainly second half yesterday. I thought he was brilliant. I don't know what your thoughts were on Gus.
Yeah, agreed. I think it was a tale of two halves, as they always say. I think we withstood the pressure that Stoke brought to us first half. I thought it took us a little bit of time to adapt. I think that you've been saying that, Stoke, I can remember, probably had 3 long-range shots that wasn't on target. There was one that I think it was Sterling that got past Bidwell on the overlap, put the ball across McFadden, last-ditch clearance. They hit the bar, like you said. But apart from that, I think it was just possession and pressure. And I think if you're shooting from 30 yards out, I think Wilson would take that all day long. I mean, he's a good shot stopper. And if that's what we sort of minimised them too, I think, Stoke were obviously the better side first half, but they didn't really threaten as, it wasn't really as backs against the wall as maybe the stats suggested, really. But like you say, second half, I think the point is that it looks like the way we've changed a little bit this year is that we've gone back to the first year when we came up in the Championship. I think the mentality is stay solid, stay in the game, and then second half, that's when we'll make changes or try and win the game. But what wasn't happening last year is we were creating so many chances and missing so many chances. But looking at the Stoke game and other games that we've been winning lately, we're taking our chances. We're not missing many. Vic's missed a couple here and there, but looking at the chances created, the percentage that we're taking our chances, we're a bit more clinical this year, and I think that's what's definitely winning us the games.
Yeah, I think yesterday was testament to that. I think we were very clinical yesterday. Our chances, we got the goals in key moments of the game, sort of 50. I think it's around the 50, 60th minute. Sort of 2 goals fairly quickly, I guess. I thought the first goal was a great defence splitting pass by Gus Hamer. I think defensively they were caught square. And Jamie Allen, I actually thought, having watching it in the stands, I thought the defender was going to put a tackle in and actually, you'd fluff his chance. He might go for a corner or something, or even a goal kick if it came off Allen. But he managed to scoop it over the keeper and into the far corner. And I think that it was great for Alan personally, because I think that'll do him a bit of confidence, because it's not often. My biggest criticism of us is we always commit enough bodies forward. It's always sort of like 1 or 2, but we need more bodies. And I just thought it was a really, really good goal. I thought it was a well worked goal in my opinion.
Yeah, I think committing. The problem is last year we were committing a lot of players forward. This season we're a bit more compact, and I think yes, at times when we're getting the ball forward, we haven't got that many players in the box, but it seems to be working at the moment on what we're doing. So with the goal, I think Rose found a great pass into Hamer as well. I think that was sort of almost like a reverse pass in a way. So that opened it up and the space for Gus. And yeah, that's what Hamer's all about, isn't it? Is we have the ugly side where he picks up too many bookings and his disciplinary speaks for itself. But when you get him on the ball and running at goal, like you saw the pass through to Allen was fantastic, and then he goes and gets that all important second goal. And I thought that second goal was key, really key at that time in the game, because Stoke was going to come at us, and I just felt we just killed them off with the second. I think Stoke's heads dropped really, and I'm so happy for Gus, because he has made a couple of silly mistakes where he's got sent off in 2 games, and we have missed him. I think we've struggled. We've managed to get through without him, but him back in the side just gives us a lot more options in there. And I'm so happy for him, because the fans love him and they want him to do well. So an assist and a goal is, the first start back since his suspension. I think it's great. Long may it continue, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's just go read out some comments from our fans, our listeners and watchers. Keno Tomo was saying defence is getting stronger and more organised, but need to clear forwards more if they can, as we're giving away too many corners at the moment, which is always dangerous. And then Russ Watkin, hard work with plenty of grit and spirit gives us a great platform to gain wins. I think, Keno Tomo's point about free kicks, that's one of my slight concerns yesterday, was the number of free kicks we're giving away kind of wide on the right, on the flanks, for them just to cross it in, and corners we're giving away. I think the only thing I would say is I think defensively we seem to be defending quite well from set pieces. Okay, apart from the one that hit the bar, that accepted, but it's looking promising defensively, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant. we've still got Doyle to come back in that will clearly need to rotate at some point, but I am because a lot of fans, including myself, were really concerned when Hyam was sold. He's obviously doing well at Blackburn, but for us to concede 1 in 7 and 6 clean sheets out of that, I think it's a great reaction from the defenders, because we could have easily, the fans, we were conceding silly goals at Hull and Millwall, and obviously Norwich as well. But the form we're on at the moment, I mean, they always say you build a strong team from the back, and clearly the two, the Panzo who's come in. I mean, there was a comment earlier that said, "Don't ever fall in love with a loan signing." I think that's hard at the moment, because Panzo's just quietly gets on with his business. He doesn't rarely puts a foot wrong, and he's just solid. And for his age as well, we're talking ahead, but I'd love to be able to sign him at the end of the season, because he couldn't get in the Forest side before they signed 22 players. So hopefully we might have a chance to make that permanent, but we'll see. But yeah, on that comment, I think the defence, yes, we are giving away silly free kicks, but we can't be perfect. We're always going to give away either silly fouls here and there, but isn't that football? Set pieces, we're doing them well at the moment. Yeah, we will get caught out down the line, but we've conceded 1 goal in 7, so I don't think the defence really should come in for any criticism whatsoever. Yeah,
good stuff. Yeah. Okay, we'll be bringing on Will Daniels, who's just arrived. We'll bring him on very, very shortly. So, Will, hold on there 1 sec. We'll get you on. This is an advert we'll show just ways in which you can subscribe to our channel, Scarby Fans TV, and ways you can follow us on social media. And we'll introduce our Rotherham fan, Will Daniels. Will, I want to say thank you for holding on and staying on and enjoying our podcast. It's been a bit of a slightly delayed show, but thanks for coming on. How are you doing today?
Yeah, doing really, really well. Thank you for having me on. Just about recovered from yesterday's disappointment and looking forward to hopefully putting it right on Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, overall, though, it's been a pretty good season for Rotherham, isn't it? Mid-table. I mean, you probably more than what you would expect, wouldn't you, really, from a Rotherham point of view?
For sure. I mean, I think most people, before we'd even kicked the ball, had written us off, to be honest, including some of our own fans. But we're 12th at the moment, 21 points in total, also represents a pretty decent start for us. And especially at home, 15 points of those 21 have come from home. So really pleased with that. And gives us a really solid base to kick on for the rest of the season, hopefully.
Yeah, and obviously it's been a slightly unsettling kind of start of the season with the loss of Paul Wall, who's done a very, very good job, I thought, there. Obviously got you back up to the Championship. Matt Taylor, down new manager, obviously brought him in from Exeter. What is any change in the style of football formations? Just tell us more about Matt Taylor and how he's doing so far.
So Matt Taylor's not really had a lot of time to work with the squad at the moment, just because of the schedule and how that's sort of worked against us at the moment. He's averaging 1.4 points per game at the moment, which is typically mid-table form. So continuing the good work that Paul Warne put in place, 7 points from the last 15. In terms of the style of play, formation-wise, hasn't changed too much. We're still trying to play 3 at the back. Have that really solid midfield 3 base as well, and I think the only way that we've really changed stylistically so far is we've gone back to a bit of physicality up top. We did start the season with Ogbene and Washington, who were looking for runs in behind and using the pace, whereas at the end of the game yesterday, we finished the game with Tom Eaves and Georgie Kelly, which is a lot of physicality up top for side. So changed in that respect. That's one thing that Taylor's teams have always done. Sam Nombe, typically with Giovanni Brown at Exeter. So we haven't really seen too much change because he hasn't had the time as of yet. But I'm sure down the line that will change.
Yeah, I mean, our colleague Glenn was asking about your thoughts on Taylor. I guess at the moment it's kind of just haven't really noticed anything different from Paul Walton's era.
Yeah, I mean, stylistically, he's a manager that fits really well for us. We've had a lot of success over the last couple of years or so in using that three at the back system, and we've always been really high energy and high press, and that's got us a lot of points. So Taylor comes from a background with very similar attributes. So we've recruited a manager not really in terms of what he's done previously, but can he fit into the project that we've created at Rotherham? And obviously we've got a really good recruitment team as well. So he's done a really good job so far. Hopefully it can continue. He needs the resources and the backing in January, as I'm sure most teams will be saying, even at this point. But overall, so far, we've got a lot of things that we need to work on, but I've been impressed with the way that he communicates. He's no bullshit. He'll say as it is to the fans and to the players as well. And personally, I found that really refreshing so far.
Sure, yeah. And in terms of new signs, I mean, I'm looking through like the team lineup against Horace today. I mean, you mentioned Tom Eaves. Obviously, he came from Hull, I think, and
yeah,
Connor Washington was it QPR? Was that? I can't remember. I could be wrong, but who's been like the standout players this season from the games you've seen Rotherham play?
So we've had a few standouts, to be honest. The summer was a difficult one for us in terms of losing Michael Ihekwe, who was a mainstay in a defence that kept 28 clean sheets last season. And of course, we lost Michael Smith as well, both to Sheffield Wednesday, which stung a little bit locally. But we were able to recruit quite a lot of experience in terms of Grant Hall, who's come in from Middlesbrough and done really, really well so far. So calm and assured on the ball and helps us manage the games a lot better. And Lee Peltier as well. I think between them, they've got about 300,000 games of championship experience. So that's really helped. And I guess in terms of the signings, defensively we look a lot stronger this season. We're outperforming our XG against, which is excellent, which is sort of a combination of an excellent goalkeeping performance from Victor Johansson so far. Single-handedly is winning us points at times this season so far, and also some poor finishing from the opposition that we've played. So in terms of standouts, players for us, Barlasser is probably the one that will stand out to most. He's got 5 assists so far this season in the Championship, and he's the guy that will sit at the base of our midfield and switch it out to our wide areas, and that's where we try to get quite a lot of joy, and he takes quite a lot of our set pieces as well. So Barlasser is one that you'll need to try and keep quiet, and then the likes of Norton Cuffy, for example, who's come from Arsenal and generally looks pretty bright when he's been fit, is a cause for real optimism as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think Barlasser's been at Rotherham for a few seasons, hasn't he? I think from memory, he's a name that springs to mind in our League One days. I think when we were playing Rotherham, I think he was back then. In terms of the style of football, is it kind of similar style, sort of high press? Is that the sort of style that you've seen a lot this season from Rotherham in the games you've watched?
Yeah, I mean, we're certainly wanting to be on the front foot and win the ball high. I think the one thing that I would say is over the last 2 or 3 weeks or so, we've played a lot of games, so it's starting to take it out of our legs a little bit. We've got a few niggles within the group at the moment. Ben Wales, for example, has a groin issue that he's trying to work through. We don't know whether he's going to be fit or not. And also Ollie Rathbone, who we know as the Duracell bunny in our midfield, is also carrying a hamstring issue. So we're a little bit light in that area, but it's the next man up in that situation. We've seen the likes of Hakeem Adofin get chances under Taylor when he didn't particularly get that chance under Warren, and generally look okay. A little bit dicey yesterday, but to be honest, when you're playing up against John Michel Seri, most midfields don't really cope very well with that. And yeah, we'll see what happens. The style might slip off a little bit in terms of the high press because simply the amount of games that we've played, but that will certainly be the intention to get right in your face and make the game really difficult from minute one.
Yeah, I mean, looking at your form, it's kind of a bit mixed, your form. I mean, obviously, last away game, you did actually win at Stoke, and we were speaking with a Stoke fan on our show a couple of shows about, I think it was the last show, funny enough, and he was saying that Stoke, you just got the goal. I mean, you was defending for the rest of the game, and Stoke had about 20 plus shots on goal. Was that a fair reflection of the game? And what was your thoughts on the game generally?
It was a bit of a battering, to be honest. I think Stoke had 29 shots, 2 out of 4. They just couldn't finish their dinner. And as I mentioned before, Victor Johansson has been a real standout for us so far. Made some really big saves in that game. So fingers crossed he can do the same this week. But that Stoke game was pretty difficult to watch in the stands. We took a really early lead and shithoused it 3 points, to be honest.
Yeah. And yesterday's game against Hull, I mean, what went right, what went wrong, shall I say? 4-2. How did that game go?
It was one of those games, in fairness, in the Championship where there were a lot of quality on show. As I mentioned, Seri is a player that was once transferred to Fulham for 27 million quid, I think, and he just ran the game from start to finish. And Ryan Woods as well, real renaissance in his performance yesterday. We looked really leggy, lethargic. We didn't really do the things that we're really good at. And I think the one thing that I would say is under Paul Warne, we were really organised from a set piece point of view, especially. And we've looked a little bit ropey in the last couple of weeks in that respect. We are currently the team that's conceded the third most shots in the league so far. So you are going to get chances against us, sadly. And if you're good enough to put those chances away, then you'll probably win the game. But fingers crossed, you'll have an off night.
Well, hopefully not, obviously from a Sky point of view, but hopefully that we'll see what happens. Reece, predictions for this game. How do you feel this game's going to go?
Well, it's interesting hearing Will's view on how Rotherham have been playing, and if they do come out and go for it, then I think that'll play into our hands. I think the worry that I've got is obviously our confidence is sky high at the moment, and if Rotherham essentially park the bus, I think we're going to have a problem breaking them down, because we seem to be playing better at the moment with teams attacking us and us hitting them on the counter attack. So yeah, hopefully it'll be an entertaining game and an open game, but ideally, I would want this game to be on after the Sunderland game, and obviously this is rescheduled. But looking how Rotherham have been playing and where they are in the league, I think we're going to win it. I think it'll be a 2-0 win, but I think it won't be as easy as what the scoreline suggests. I think it'll be. I think it will come down to how Rotherham come out. If they want to play the high press, then in my opinion, I'd welcome that rather than them sitting back and soaking up the pressure.
Yeah, Will, how do you feel this game will go from a Rotherham perspective?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned, or I think I heard you say that you're giving away quite a lot of cheap free kicks at the moment, and we've been one of the better sides so far in terms of our set piece creation. I think we're second in terms of the goals scored, only to Millwall, surprisingly, in the amount of goals that we've scored from set pieces. So I think that's an area that we can exploit. Listen, it's from our perspective, we don't want it to be a free-flowing game. We know that you've got quality players that can hurt us. Saw that O'Hare got his first minutes back on Saturday, which is absolutely incredible news for us. And obviously, Gustavo Harmer scored that absolutely unbelievable strike as well. So there's definitely quality in the locker. I hope that we can nick one from a set piece and hopefully hang in. But I don't know whether you might just have a little bit too much for us. I'm hoping for a 1-1, but we'll see where we go.
Yeah, I mean, I think from our point of view, I think we'll probably keep it similar side. I think there'll be one change. I think Ben Sheaf will come back to the team, who's come out from suspension. I think Josh Eccles will probably be left out. That's why I suspect will happen. I think Callum O'Hare will probably be on the bench for this game. I don't see him starting. I think he might come into the game probably in the second half, depending on the situation of the game. But yeah, I think it's a game we've got to target 3 points from a confidence perspective. We've had 3 wins on the trot. We haven't conceded. We've conceded one goal in the last 7 games, I think. So from a defensive point of view, it's looking really, really good. But equally, it's the championship, and the championship can bring surprise results. There's no, you cannot underestimate any side in this division, and that's what makes the championship such a great league, because it's not. I think probably with the exception maybe of Burnley, who've only lost 1 game, everyone's kind of beating each other at the moment. And I think that's what makes the championship the league that it is. It's such a enthralling league. But I think for this game, I expect us to win. Usually I'm a bit of a glass half empty type person. I'm always sort of a bit negative. I've been happy with the draw at Stoke yesterday, but the way we played gives me a lot of hope. And I think we should come into this game with a lot of confidence. And I think, like all games, it's about if you can get the first goal, that gives you that control in the game, and then you can dictate the pace of the game when you get that lead, because once you get 1-0 up, you can slow the game down, take your time with throw-ins and stuff like that, depending on the game situation. And I think if we can get our nose in front, I'm confident we can win 2 or 3-0. But if Rotherham frustrate us, for say the first half, maybe 60, 70 minutes, and is anyone's game. And I think I kind of go along with what Reece says. I don't think it's going to be an easy game for us, but I think it's a game we should be looking to target 3 points. And I think we've done pretty well. We've won. I think it was definitely last 3 on the trot. We're sort of third bottom, and I think a win on Tuesday, shall I say, would take us to outside the bottom 3, and then things look a bit better. So I'm going to go 2-0 to us. I think we're going to win, and I don't like saying we'll win because I'm not great at predictions, but I'm just feeling a bit confident that we can win this game. So 2-0 for me.
I think it's key how we start the game as well, Mark. I think we need to come out of the blocks fast. We need to stick it on Rotherham early, because if we stutter at the start and we show a little bit of fatigue, I know every team's suffering from that at the moment. But you look at Hull; they're on a poor run, and then they go and win at Rotherham. So, like you say, there is absolutely no gimmies in this league whatsoever. And I'm not. What worries me is Rotherham, I believe, are quite a big side, and Tom Eaves as well. I remember him playing for Hull last year at our place, and he was just a nightmare all game. And they ended up beating us as well. It was a freak result. But but it's the Rotherham are a big side, and like you say, we've got to keep the ball on the floor and pass around, and we need to get Vic in the game as well. Get Gyökeres on the ball down into the channels. Hopefully Palmer starts, because he's been in good form. I'd like to see him supporting Vic. He's good in close spaces as well, so he's got quick feet. So I think that could be the difference. If Rotherham are going to be quite watertight at the back, we might need a Palmer and Vic to pull it out the bag somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I guess from a Rotherham point of view, it's about staying up this season, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would say that we're 12th at the moment and we should be trying to kick on, but I think we know our place in the league at the moment. Anything upwards of 4th bottom would be a real achievement. And yeah, I personally think we're probably a striker short at the moment of where we need to be. But really enthused by the start, as you say, like it could be a lot worse. So, I think it can only get better from here. So fingers crossed, we can sneak some points on in midweek and upset you guys.
Yeah, no, I think, as I say, that's what makes the Championship such a great league. It's and I remember Tom Eaves at Hull last season. I thought he was a really good player, and I was a bit surprised that Hull. I think he got released from Hull, if memory serves me right, and I was a bit surprised because I thought he's a decent player. And,
I would have taken him. To be fair,
I'd have taken a call. Yeah, I would have.
Yeah,
I think that's really interesting that you say that, because at the moment he's become a little bit of a scapegoat for us. I think a lot of people are comparing him to Michael Smith and what he previously did for the club. But listen, he's not had a pre-season with us. He was injured, and he's just sort of coming back into the fold. And he's not been incredible, but he is a guy that takes away one or two players with him because of his physicality. Can he do better? Yes, but I think over the last 2 or 3 weeks or so, we're starting to see more of what he can do. I just want to nip back, if I can, to the point that you're making about the first goal. I think for us, getting that first goal is going to be so important, because we're a side that don't create virtually anything from open play, to be honest. We're the side that has taken so far the least shots in the Championship by a long way. So, if you guys can get in front, it could be quite a difficult night for us, I think, in having to chase the game. Not having Ogbene as well, who's currently injured, he's probably going to be out for the next couple of weeks or so, is a monumental blow because of his pace that he has on the counter attack. So that would have really helped us, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, as I say, there's just been so many games this season that it's hard to predict the outcome. I mean, Norwich, for example, I mean they're dropping points, and I thought I don't know if you played Norwich yet. When we played them, they were absolutely fantastic. I mean, they were streets ahead of us, although this team didn't have our strongest side out, and now they're dropping points. And I guess it's just a very exciting league from that point of view. I mean, is there any teams you've seen so far this season from games you watched at Rotherham that you think, wow, they're really good, or do you think the standard's kind of been similar?
I think the quality of the Championship compared to the last time we were here is not as strong, if I'm completely honest. I think the side that I was the most impressed with was probably QPR. They created quite a lot against us and probably should have won the game. And Stoke equally were pretty good. And if they could finish their chances, they'd be right up there as well. We're really going to see how good this Rotherham United side is in the next 3 weeks or so before the World Cup. I think there's now 7 games before the World Cup, and we've got 6 of them away from home. So the scheduling's absolutely bummed us for a bit. We've taken 6 points away from home so far. And that was probably one of the reasons that we've been relegated in previous campaigns. So this is now really where we're going to see how good this Rotherham United side is. Yeah.
I mean, I think we've got the opposite. I think we've got about 6 or quite a few home games. I think we've got at least 5 or 6 from memory. So we're playing into the first of 3 home games, and then we've got Watford, and then we've got I think it's Wigan and QPR. So it's I mean, obviously we're playing a lot of catch-up football. I think. I mean, do you feel confident that Rotherham will start the season, or do you think it's still a bit too early to sort of predict that?
It's difficult to know where we're going to go. I think for me, I need to see the side after the World Cup when Taylor's had his chance to imprint what he wants to imprint onto the side. I think the most important thing for us now is we've got you guys and then Cardiff the following Saturday. We need to try and take some points from those games, because the following 4 after that are Burnley away, Norwich at home, Sheffield United away, and then we've got Luton away. So it's not an easy task, but if we can get into the international break in decent fettle, I think we'll be all right. And then it comes down to January and how much the chairman wants to invest. I think it's one of the reasons that Paul Warne's not at the football club anymore, if I'm completely honest. So we'll see whether he's going to put his money where his mouth is. He says that if we finish 10th in the Championship this year, then that's when all the major investment is going to come into the football club. It'll be interesting to see if that happens or not. I probably wouldn't want to speculate too much on that. I think the quality of the Championship dictates that we've got a chance this season, but we've got to deliver now.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I think as well. Just quickly, with the World Cup coming, it's a weird time for every club this season. I think, especially with the World Cup coming, we're going to have that gap. Will teams
Michael Smith and Michael Smith.
Yeah. So Smith, I can't admit. I looked at a lot of the transfers. Obviously, we're all pining for football, especially us because we missed a lot of games. But I looked at that transfer and I was scratching my head at that one. I mean, because I rated Smith from what I've seen, and he's caused us a few problems down the line. I remember it was a game we lost to your lot in the League One promotion season 4-0. And for you guys to be promoted and potentially sell or at least gift one of your best players. I mean, how did that all come about, and how do you feel about it?
I was disappointed at the time, if I'm completely honest. He's a player that was sort of instilled into our DNA in the time that he was here, and scored a lot of really important goals and gave me some unbelievable memories. Frankly, the decision is purely on money, I would imagine. I would imagine that even though the basic salaries that were offered were relatively similar, and from us a record amount to Michael Smith in particular, the fact that he would have then had a promotion clause with Wednesday and a relegation clause for us, really impacts where he wanted to be. He's a great League One striker, but for me, hadn't really proven himself at Championship level. So it's an interesting one. Listen, he did really well for us, and I wish him all the best sort of moving forward. And he's obviously done what's right for him and his family. So good luck to him. Disappointing that it's Sheffield Wednesday because of the locality and the situation there. But from our perspective, it allowed us to fetch in, to play Ogbene up top, which we didn't do last year. He played right wing back. And Washington as well, and use their pace up top, and has caused teams a lot of issues, to be honest, so far. So all good things have to come to an end, and I think from a playing style point of view, certainly at the start of the season under Warne, we had a lot of joy in playing those two up top.
Yeah, I think it's probably money as well comes into it. I'm imagining that Sheffield Wednesday probably offered him substantially higher wages possibly than what Rotherham offer. I guess I could see Paul Warne went to Derby because maybe Derby got more money. It was interesting when Warne going. Was you disappointed with him going, or was it kind of expected? What was your thought on Paul Warne?
So again, it's a difficult one. Warne is again given us so many amazing memories, but listening to the Moment of Truth podcast that the BBC put together, for me, reading between the lines, I sort of heard the end it coming. If I'm completely honest, I didn't know what I know now behind the scenes was going on. I think he was probably a little bit disappointed in some of the transfer dealings and not being able to get those over the line, and also the fact that Barlaser, Ben Wiles, and Ogbene are all out of contract in the summer, and we haven't been able to tie those down as of yet. Probably contributed to the fact that he wanted to go to Derby. And look, Derby are a much bigger club than Rotherham United, who will have ambitions once they've sorted out their embargoes to get back into the Championship and possibly beyond. So it's an unbelievable opportunity for not only him but his coaching staff as well, who've done really, really well here. And they've brought us an unbelievable amount of success. They could have gone to other clubs before but didn't. So good luck to them for me. There's a lot of fans that don't quite feel the same way that I do, but football's about opinions, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think he was. I mean, he was there. I mean, how long was he there for? About 4 or 5 years, was he? 'Cause, I mean,
6 years. 6 years in the end. Yeah.
And obviously our manager, Mark Robbins, was the next Miller player. Was he manager as well?
He was, yeah. So in my younger years, I remember him scoring a few goals to get us into the Championship from or the old Division 1 back then, 2001, I think. And then obviously came back as manager and then left to go to Barnsley when we were playing at Don Valley Stadium. So, I mean, in fairness, I don't blame him for leaving Don Valley. It were an absolute hellhole. So,
yeah. He left us and went to Huddersfield, and then he saw the light and decided to come back, and he hasn't left since. So that might even happen with Paul Warne. You never know. If he might come back to Rotherham and think, actually, this is the club I want to be at. It's. But I can see what with Warne. I think he wants to test himself at a bigger club with better resources and see kind of a sink or swim. So I think in some ways it's a bit like you've kind of, when you're at a club like a Rotherham or ourselves, we haven't got a lot of money either. It's a situation where you haven't got the luxury of spending millions of pounds on getting new players in. You've got to work with that squad, and you need a good scouting network as well to nurture players from the 23s up into the first team. And I think the job he done there was he done a really good job, a bit like Mark Robbins with us. And I think it's going to be a big challenge for Derby personally, because I think he's under more pressure there. I think at Rotherham or ourselves, the expectation isn't as high. But I think at a club like a Derby, I think the expectation is promotion, certainly for them this season. So I think it's an interesting one. But I think you don't really know until you test yourself and put yourself in that position, because I think he could have easily said, well, actually, I'm going to stay at Rotherham. But, it's kind of understandable. But I think you could look at another point of view thinking, well, Rotherham in the higher league, so would you not rather try and focus on keeping Rotherham in the Championship? I guess that's the other point of view, isn't it?
I guess from Warney's point of view, he probably started to get to the point where he thought he'd taken us as far as he could. When he left, we were 8th in the Championship, which, I mean, I'd be very, very foolish to say I think we'll finish 8th in the Championship. I think there's much better sides than us at the moment, and eventually the cream will come to the top, and hopefully, we're still in a really good position come the end of May. But Warney, it's a difficult one. The expectation is higher. There was an expectation that I think he felt probably more here as well, because it's a club that gave him absolutely everything as a player as well as as a manager. So there was a level of expectation here, and I guess that expectation's already been seen. They lost 1-0 on Friday night against Ipswich, and if you looked at Twitter, you'd think he'd shot someone's dog from some of the comments, which I guess is just Twitter, to be fair. But he's got a difficult job there. I don't think the owners at Derby are stupid. They know that at Rotherham he's not really worked with a lot of money. So he's going into a job there where, Derby are under a transfer embargo, I believe, and can't sign players. So they need a manager and a team that are able to get the best out of the players that they've got. Interesting that quite a lot of the players that Paul Warne now has at his disposal were linked to Rotherham in the summer. Make of that what you will. But yeah, we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting story one way or another.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it'll be fascinating to see. But we'll wrap up tonight's show. And thanks for coming on tonight. I appreciate you coming a bit late. And I really appreciate time. And after the game on midweek, I obviously wish Rotherham luck rest of the season until I think it's the second games at Rotherham in early New Year. I think from memory, I think February. I think I want to say. So yeah. But thank you very much for coming on, and Bruce, thanks again for your contribution tonight. That wraps up tonight's show. So our next show will be on Thursday. Fingers crossed, we'll be talking about a win against Rotherham, and then we'll be joined by so we'll be joined by Lee Charles, Blackpool fan, who's also a YouTuber. And I won't be on. I'm working this week, so we'll have another host, and that'll be announced in due course. So thanks everyone for listening. Play out Sky Blues, and we'll speak to you on Thursday night. Thank you. Good night.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, well.